सदा कमरता किछु नहीं मोरा गुना गोपीना हमरा बरसा तुमी तुम्हारा चरणे लइनु शरणा तुम्हारा किंकर आमी गोपीना কেমনে সদিবে মোরে না জানি বাকাতি খারমে জদমাতি পড়েছে সংসার করি গোপীনা সকালি তোমার মায়া নাহি মামা পালা জ্ঞান সুনির্মলা স্বাধীন নাহে একায়া গোপীনা নিয়তাচরণে স্থানা মাগে পামারা খন্ডিয়া খন্ডিয়া করো হে করুণা দানা গোপীনা তুমি তো সকালি পারো দুর্জনে ধরিতে তোমার সকাতি কে আছে পাপির আর গোপীনা তুমি কৃপা পারা জীবের কল্যাণে আসিয়া প্রপঞ্চে লীলা করিলে সুবিস্তার গোপীনা আমি কি দোষে দোষী আসুরা সকালা পাইল শরণা বিনোদাক্তা খিল বসি গোপীনা 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 is here and praying to Sri Gopinath, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, teaching the proper process of approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Sri Krishna is the all-attractive, the all-powerful, the independent autocrat, Abhigya Swarat. And as in magnetic forces, opposites attract one another, and like poles repel one another. Krishna is the supreme independent. To the degree we consider ourselves independent, to the degree we feel that we can take life in our own hands, we repel Krishna away from us. And to the extent we feel completely dependent on the all-independent autocrat, Bhagavan, helpless without his mercy, to that extent we are naturally attracted by the beauty, the charm, and the sweetness of Krishna. Therefore, humility is, as Mahaprabhu has told to Sri Sanatana Goswami, the only quality that attracts Krishna. And there is no other. Patram pushpam balam thoyam yome bhakta prayasthati. When we offer anything to Krishna with humility and devotion, Krishna is attracted to accept that offering. So here when we find Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he is declaring himself to be the fallen of the fallen, the sinful of the sinful, praying to Sri Gopinath that you have delivered so many great asuras, so please, here is another one. I have no other hope than you. Maya is very strong, and Krishna is our only shelter. Daivihesha dunamayi mama maya durakyara mam evam ye prapadyante. Krishna says in Gita like this, that this material energy is all powerful. We cannot compete with her. From within our minds, she is inducing so many temptations toward material enjoyment. She is trying to call us to that side of our character which wants to be the controller, be the enjoyer through this body and the senses. In this way, birth after birth after birth, Maya has been cheating us, promising us everything, and in the end, only kicking us into a deep pit of bondage and suffering. But we cannot resist, because Maya is the Lord of material nature. And we are all creatures, somehow or other imprisoned within the confines of material nature. So we are factually in a hopeless and helpless state. As our enemy, Maya, and all of her agents, from within and without, are continuously keeping us within the shackles of bondage, of suffering. So what is our hope? Our hope is that when Maya calls upon us through the various temptations to enjoy, we must seek the help of Krishna. Because Krishna is the Lord of everything. Maya vyakshena prakriti suyate sacharachara. This material energy and Maya with all of her powers are working under the direction of Krishna. He is the controller of all controllers. And without his help, we are helpless. Therefore, those foolish beings who are trying to solve their problems in this world, trying to relieve their pains and seek pleasure through their own resources, their intelligence, their material abilities, their connections to other persons within this illusory energy, they are helplessly and hopelessly caught within the fist of Maya. But those intelligent souls, the more Maya comes to us, the more she causes us to run faster and faster and faster to Krishna. So therefore, devotees, they understand the danger of material nature, but at the same time they understand the blessing that material nature provides us, because actually she's continuously helping us in our Krishna consciousness. When there is a temptation of envy or greed or lust or pride that awakens in our heart, If we are insincere, we will surrender to Maya in the form of that temptation. But if we are sincere, an alarm goes off, an alarm of danger. When I was young in school, we used to have fire alarms. Do you have like that in India? Drills. The alarm goes off and everyone has to, in special formations, evacuate the building as soon as possible. Because the alarm means fire. And fire means all-devouring death. But when the fire drill goes off, nobody knew if it was a drill or if it was a real fire. So everyone was very attentive, however much we were sleeping during classes, which often we were, or spacing out, thinking of what we will do when we get out of school. To whatever degree there was lethargy or distractions in our minds, when the fire drill went off, everyone was in rapt attention that there may be a fire. Within seconds, if we are not out of this building, we will all die. And I remember everyone was in rapt attention on following the directions of how to get out as the alarm was going off. We were running. Everyone was running in very good formations. Seems like you all woke up when I made fire. Still works so many years later. So whenever material desire awakens in our heart, whenever we are attracted to enjoy the resources of material nature in the form of kama, whenever we become angry, especially with another devotee, krodha, whenever greed comes into our heart, lobha, envy, matsara, it's fire drill. This material nature is a blazing fire, samsara dhavanāladita loka, like a forest fire. And when we see that the fire is starting to burn in our hearts, a devotee, he runs to Krishna, runs for the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. And in this way, the temptations of Maya actually help us to come closer to the Lord. Because if we succumb to the temptations of Maya, we forget our true identity. We become further perpetuated in the illusion that I am this body, I am this mind. And our true nature of part and parcel of Krishna is forgotten. Krishna is an ocean of transcendental pleasure. Karuna Sindhu. And we are a drop from the ocean of that pleasure. Therefore our nature is transcendental pleasure. Ananda. But we have forgotten. We have forgotten that we are part of the ultimate ecstasy of Krishna. And we are trying to find some ecstasy outside of that ocean, outside of our own nature, and thus we suffer. Therefore, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur is showing us by his exemplary words, as Maya strikes, the devotee comes closer and closer to Krishna. An emergency. The fire is about to consume me. My spiritual life is about to be finished off by the material energy. Krishna save me. In this way, we raise our arms and cry out his holy name. Krishna consciousness is that sublime method of learning to see the opportunity to come closer to Krishna in every situation in life. To see the good of Krishna behind the scenes. To not be so much concerned with the external appearance of things, either within our mind or through our senses, but to see Krishna's loving hand calling us back in every condition that we travel through during our life. This is Krishna consciousness. And Krishna, most of all, reciprocates with us through how we treat his devotees, the Vaishnavas. As you treat the Vaishnavas, that is how you treat Krishna. In the Adi Purana, Krishna explains that those who say they love me, I do not take that love seriously. But those who love the Vaishnavas, those who love my devotees, I accept their love. And each devotee has his spiritual, internal, devotional side, and especially those devotees who are not yet completely purified, they also have their conditioned side. And sometimes that conditioned side irritates our conditioned side, because that is our tendency. And the abrasive contact between the egos, the false egos, sometimes creates an atmosphere of distrust, criticism, repulsion. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would deal with this problem in a very wonderful way. He had an association in which he was trying to develop a real society of Vaishnavas. And to the degree Vaishnavas love one another, serve one another, and have kirtan with one another, have Hari Katha together, then it is a real Vaishnava society that can actually influence the entire planet Earth with Krishna consciousness. But the tendency is there to see faults, to speak faults. And even if you don't speak it, you see it. And you somehow or other try to restrain if you're sincere. But that is not such a great thing. To criticize Vaishnavas is a terrible thing. It is criticizing God himself. Worse. And it will cause a great disturbance in your spiritual life. To criticize in your mind, but somehow or other bite your tongue so it doesn't speak it, that is much better. But it is not the ideal situation. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur would have the Vaishnavas in an assembly together, and he would know who was fighting against who. Who had criticisms against the others, who were battling, competing, who had ego clashes. And he would say to one Vaishnav, this is your friend, speak the praises of the glories of this person. And when you're in front of so many others, and your Guru Maharaj is giving you this order, you have to do it. Then that devotee would be on the spot. He would be forced by the order of Guru and the eyes and ears of all the assembled Vaishnavas to have to go deep, deep, deep into his own mind to somehow or other find some good qualities in that person. would have sometimes a great struggle. Because if you just say something that's not true, everyone will know you're just superficially saying something. You have to say something that you know is true. And therefore you have to really evaluate. You have to go beyond the surface, beyond the exterior of that Vaishnava, and go really into his heart and find some serious motivations for devotional service, some good qualities or character. And then you have to not only find it, identify it, but you have to speak it. Sounds quite painful, does it not? Tapasya. But through this process, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, he would say, he is your friend. Tell us how he is your friend, why he is your friend. You'd have to think of ways by which you can really explain that he is my friend. And then after thinking and analyzing and investigating and going deeper and deeper and speaking, you realize, actually, he is my friend. Actually, he had all these good qualities. But I was so much infected and diverted by some exterior appearance, but I completely forgot the inner virtues of this person. Now I understand. He's a great Vaishnava. He's sincere. He's trying to be Krishna conscious. Srila Prabhupada would say that finding faults with sincere devotees is like looking at the marks on the moon. When the moon is full, it is very beautiful, but there are some marks. But we don't care about the marks. We are concerned with the beauty, the virtue, the effulgence of the moon, which is bathing the whole world with luminous light, so soothing and cooling. So in this way, we should understand that these qualities of seeing the good in other devotees, seeing hope in conditioned souls. When Srila Prabhupada came to the West, he saw people were addicted to every type of sinful activity. And sometimes he would call them rascals and bogus and all other names like this, fools. But it was not with an intention to destroy them. It was with an intention, like a surgeon, to cut through their illusion and actually compassionately heal them with Krishna consciousness, with knowledge. So similarly, even the most sinful of all sinners, although we may have to speak against them for the sake of pointing out their own defects and protecting others from being infected by them, we should see that there's a spark of Krishna in everyone, and there's hope in everything. And somehow or other, we're always looking for the opportunity to find that hope and to give everyone Krishna, to inject everyone with his name. But in order to do this, to actually have this state of consciousness, we have to truly and deeply be humble. We have to be genuinely calling out for the mercy of the Lord. We have to be praying to Krishna to show us how he is purifying our life in every situation. And therefore we need the guidance of advanced devotees. We need the guidance of the spiritual master. Because through them, Krishna is revealing himself. And he is showing us how we can be Krishna conscious in every situation in life and make progress even in the most difficult circumstances. Tatena kampam susimikshamano bunjana evatmikritam vibhagam. That even when the greatest tragedies and crises come before us, with folded palms, we pray, Krishna, save me. I deserve worse. Somehow this is all coming upon me to give me the realization of my helpless condition and my complete dependence in your mercy. And in that state, we remember Krishna and we chant his holy names. What is beauty? Everyone in this world is mad to behold and experience beauty. But for a devotee, the conception of beauty is very extraordinary and sublime. What is a devotee's conception of beauty? Does anyone know? A devotee's idea is whatever attracts Krishna is beautiful. And whatever attracts my own selfish interest is not beautiful at all. It is just the opposite. So people are chasing after things of beauty in this world with the idea that it will satisfy me, or it will satisfy the conditioned desires of others. But that is not beauty at all. Why? Just like Ravana appeared like a beautiful sage. He appeared to be a very saintly person, just to steal Sita away from Ram. And after he got her, after she crossed that line of protection, and he took her away, then he revealed, I am Ravana. And his beautiful saintly form was transformed into a 10-headed, 20-armed, monstrous Rakshasa. So that is how Maya tricks us. She disguises herself in forms that are very, very beautiful and pleasing to the eyes and to the ears and to the nose and to the tongue and to the flesh and to the mind. So many pleasing, beautiful experiences. And we think, oh, this is very nice. Through this, I will find pleasure. And when we become attracted, we become caught. We become caught within the network of Maya's powers. And then, in due course of time, she reveals herself as the terrible, ugly, 10-headed, blood-sucking monster, Ravana. Literally. How does she suck our blood? Because our blood is our life. And every moment that she is taking our life away from us, taking our life away from Krishna, she is sucking our blood like a Rakshasa. So we should not fall victim to the objects of the senses or the mind through material energy. And how do we discriminate? It is very simple. Those things which create a feeling of self-interest, that I am the enjoyer, that I am the proprietor, and appear beautiful because of that conception. This thing, this person is beautiful because it is causing me sense enjoyment or mental enjoyment. The mind is the sixth sense. Mental enjoyment is sense gratification. That is not beauty. That is the superficial disguise of Maya to trap us and to take us away from the ocean of bliss. into the ocean of suffering. But those qualities that we know attract Krishna, those things we consider beautiful. And what attracts Krishna? When we see the quality of humility, when we see the quality of self-control, when we see the quality of devotion, those things are beautiful. They charm, they give excitement and enthusiasm to our hearts, because we know that they are pleasing Krishna, that they are beautiful to Krishna. Therefore, they give us satisfaction. And therefore, a devotee only looks for those qualities in others that are pleasing to Krishna, and is not at all attracted to any other qualities, knowing that it is just the disguised form of Maya trying to capture us away. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur would say, do not try to see Krishna. Because some people, they want to see Krishna for their own sense gratification. Just like sometimes they look at the television or they look at sensuous people for sense gratification. When they're in a more pious mood, they come to look at the deity for their sense gratification. Certainly that is better. By coming to look at the deity even for your own enjoyment, some purification will be there. It is said in the Shastra that whether one approaches Krishna with all material desires, with no material desires, or with a desire for liberation, simply because you're connecting with Krishna, ultimately you become purified. Om apavitra pavitro va sarvavastam gatopipa yasmarit pundarikaksam sabhayabhyantara suchi. Whether you are purified or unpurified, if you somehow remember Krishna, gradually you become purified. But those who are actually on the path of pure bhakti, that is not our ambition. We do not come to see the deity to give ourselves pleasure. We come to serve the deity to give the deity pleasure. We come to offer our lives, our hearts, our words, our everything to the deity for their pleasure. We try to make ourselves attractive to Krishna. And Krishna reciprocates. He actually reveals his divine, transcendental, beautiful form to the degree we surrender to him. Ye yathamam prapadyante thamstathaiva bhajamyaham mama bharat manu bharatante manushya bharata saravasha. So don't try to see Krishna for your satisfaction, but be seen by Krishna for his satisfaction. Krishna, I am yours. How we're dealing with the devotees, how we're performing our sadhana, what type of quality we have in our endeavor to perform our service, how pure and moral our life is, how we are trying to help others. These qualities attract Krishna. And when we see these qualities in others, we see them as beautiful. But just to see a particular configuration of flesh and blood, which gives us some excitement, that is not beauty. Just to see some inanimate object which is nicely constructed, which gives us some so-called peace of mind or agitation of mind, that is not beauty. That is Maya, disguising herself in such a way just to victimize us, to allure us, to distract us from the real blissful nature of our inner consciousness of Krishna. So we must, through the association of sincere devotees, always keep ourselves very strong in our perception of what is the purpose of life, what is real beauty, what is real pleasure. The Tatastha Shakti, the Jivatma, the marginal energy, is always, until we are in the liberated state of pure bhakti, always on the battlefield between Krishna and Maya. And we must be very, very conscientious. And as Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining, we cannot do it on our own. We need the society of Vaishnavas around us to help. Because in the society of Vaishnavas, where we are serving one another, caring for one another, chanting together, dancing together, hearing Hari Katha together, we actually find real satisfaction in our hearts. But that is not like material satisfaction. That is the satisfaction which is actually given to us by Krishna. Because He is satisfied, He is giving us satisfaction. Satisfaction that is independent of pleasing Him is simply Maya. But the satisfaction He gives us in reciprocation to making Him happy is actually real spiritual pleasure. It is based on love. And this is how devotees cooperate together. We have to calculate, not in terms of me, not in terms of him or her, but in terms of Krishna. It is a great science, the most wonderful way of life, to think and to act accordingly. We will explain. As far as you and me, we have certain things we agree with and so many things we disagree with. The way you eat, I don't like it. Can't eat with this person. The way you sleep, intolerable. The way you talk, why you talk like this? Why you always say the same thing? The more you know somebody, familiarity breeds contempt. Sometimes friends and friends, god brothers, god sisters and other god sisters, husband and wife, brother and sister, brother and brother. Every relationship, wherever intimacy develops, our egos become more entangled in differences. Of course, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said that I don't like what I see in you because that thing is in me. And I don't want to admit that it's in me, therefore I chastise it in you. That is reality. We must see in this way. But there are so many differences. But what we have to see is this: how this person is related to Krishna. And I am related to him or her according to how that person is related to Krishna, not according to how we're related to each other. If you see in this way, it will solve all your problems with Vaishnava relationships. This person is a devotee. This person is dear to Krishna because he or she is a devotee. Therefore, I have to deal with this person according to his or her relationship with Krishna, not according to his or her relationship with me. Because as soon as we think me, then if this person is giving my ego nice feelings, I like very much. Good, Prabhu. But if this person somehow or other is making irritations and anxieties in my ego, then this das, anudas, I don't want to be me. That is the problem. So therefore, what is this? What does Krishna think of this person? It's a devotee. It's a Vaishnava. So I must honor and respect and deal with that person according to his or her relationship with Krishna. And we must think of ourselves in those terms. What is my relationship with Krishna? And how should I deal with others according to how Krishna is seeing me? Not according to how he or she is seeing me, according to Krishna, how Krishna is seeing me. Sometimes devotees don't like us. What to speak of us not liking them? Sometimes they don't like us also, believe it or not. As inconceivable as it may sound, we all have to admit that we have faults that people see. Of course, when other people find faults with us, it is our natural tendency to consider that they are being covered by Maya. Just see, this person has said something nasty against me under the influence of Maya. They don't see my real motives, my real intentions, how I'm struggling to be a devotee so hard, how they're misunderstanding me. Can't they see what I've gone through the last 25 years trying to be Krishna conscious? All that I've given up, all the sorrows, all the battles. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose, but I'm always trying. They cannot see that in me. They only see something very superficial. That I'm sloppy, and I'm always criticizing others, and I'm basically a very bad person. They only see that side of me, but they don't see what's really within. But actually, everyone we criticize is of the same nature. So therefore we have to see how Krishna is seeing me. Even if a devotee abuses me, we shouldn't think, what am I going to say to him? We should think, what am I going to say to Krishna? What am I going to say to him with the consciousness that Krishna is watching? What am I going to say in this circumstance to please Krishna? That's all. This is the process of making Krishna the center. To see Krishna as the center of our own lives and the lives of all other Vaishnavas. To see everything in terms of the relationship with Krishna. And when we see this, real love and trust can awaken amongst ourselves. We have to stop putting ourselves in the center, and we have to put Krishna in the center. That is the process of harmony and unity and Krishna consciousness. And the whole process of Krishna consciousness is simply to put Krishna in the center of all of our loving relationships, of all of our continuous moment-to-moment experiences in life. And therefore, the association of devotees is essential. Even though it may be very difficult to live with devotees. We want to be independent to ourselves. That is our tendency. But please understand that this tendency to be independent is the original cause of our being in this material world, and it is perpetuating our sojourn in this material energy. But to live and deal in a society of devotees means we have to surrender to the idea that I need you to help me in my spiritual life. I can't live without the association of devotees. When we become dependent on the association of devotees, that means we are becoming dependent on Krishna. And that is why Thakur Bhakti Vinod is always praising the importance of associating with devotees, because it is the sign of humility. Depending on those Vaishnavas who can help us in our Krishna consciousness, depending on the spiritual master and the previous acharyas, is to depend on Krishna. To think you can make it on your own means you think you can make it on your own without Krishna. Independent. It is a disease. It is Maya. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati wrote an entire book entitled, "What Kind of Vaishnava Are You?" And so much of the book is you want to go to a secluded place in imitation of Sri Haridas Thakur. But what is this condition? You are simply trying to be independent enjoyer for prestige, for your own selfish interests. But if you're actually trying to be the humble servant of the servant of the servant in the assembly of Vaishnavas, then you are admitting to Krishna that I am dependent on you and I am dependent on your agents, and I want to surrender in this way. I want to give up my illusory independence and be dependent on you. So do not let Maya trap you through various attractions and repulsions. Ragadvesha vinuktaishtu vishayanindriyaishtaran atma vishaya vidheyatma prasadamarigatchati. Maya is always trying to allure us through attractions and repulsions and take us away from the society of Vaishnavas through this process, trying to create an independent way of thinking, not surrendering or humbling ourselves before God. Continuously, she will make so many wonderful, wonderful arrangements, subtle growths in all forms, to take us away from Krishna consciousness. That you are the enjoyer, that you can make it on your own, that you are staunch. That you can make it on your own, that you are staunch, you control your senses, you control your mind, you can fast, you can make so many sloka recitations. What do you need all these devotees for? You stand on your own 2 feet. Maya is very clever. That you're so great. You don't need Krishna. You don't need his devotees. You can do it. She's telling us like this through our ego. And it's very sweet. We like to hear these things. We say, yes, yes, this is very good. This is Krishna speaking through me. Maya can speak just like Krishna. Therefore, we have to consult with great acharyas like Thakur Bhakti Vinod, Bhakti Siddhanta, Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. They are teaching us. What is Krishna telling us? And what is Maya telling us? We must distinguish. We must be very careful. That is the path of truth. The path which can take us out from all dangers is the path of humble submission, respect, and devotion to the Lord and his devotees. It is the path of Krishna consciousness. There are so many beautiful stories of the glorious attributes of Vaishnavas in this regard. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was always trying to see within everyone the means by which they can be elevated in Krishna consciousness. This is an advanced devotee, and this should be our aspiration. And we should perform our sadhana with this in mind. As we have said, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has actually explained that the Yuga Dharma, which we say is the chanting of the holy names, that is the Yuga Dharma. But what is the goal of chanting of the holy names? Congregational chanting of the holy names. To develop an attitude of real service toward Vaishnavas. And what is the means by which we can properly chant the holy names? to develop an attitude of humble service toward Vaishnavas. So the Yuga Dharma, Harinama, Harinama, Harinameva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, 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 Gatiranyata, is to serve the Vaishnavas in such a way by which we will attract Krishna to appear within the holy name when we chant. And to chant the holy names in such a way that it will awaken a sense of humility and servitude by which we can properly serve the devotees. Because when we please Krishna's devotees, we please Krishna. We are worshipping Radha Gopinath. Bhakti Vinod Thakur is praying to Krishna as Gopinath. You are the Lord of the Gopis. You are the lover of the Gopis. And therefore, we are taking shelter of the servants of the servants of the servants of the Gopis, because we know that is the way to Krishna's heart. And there is no other way. Those people and those things that awaken our Krishna consciousness, we should feel like a fish. And those people and those circumstances or that environment is like the water in which gives us life. We should cultivate this consciousness. There's a beautiful song by Bhakti Vinod Thakur in this regard, where he's glorifying Vrindavan. How everything in Vrindavan is reminding me of Krishna. And because it is reminding me of Krishna and awakening my Krishna consciousness, I cannot live without it. He sings, when I see Kusum Srovar, when I see Giri Govardhan, when I see Radha Kund and Shama Kund, or Bamsi Vat, when I see the beautiful river Jamuna, when I see any tree, any bird or monkey or peacock, whatever I see in Vrindavan, whatever place, because it is leading my heart closer to that remembrance of Krishna, because it is helping me to focus. Krishna is the center of my life. Therefore, I cannot live without these things. Without this, there is only spiritual death. In Vrindavan, everything is personally an animated devotee. There is no dead matter. Everything and everyone is there simply to help us to keep Krishna in the center of our life. And we are dependent on that paraphernalia of the Lord. And this is why we come to these temples. For the same reason. Srila Prabhupada, he left Vrindavan. Why? He was living hardly 5 minutes from the holy river Jamuna. Only seconds from Seva Kunj, where Krishna is eternally performing his Ras Leela. Just a few minutes from Kaliya Ghat, where Krishna danced so gracefully on the hoods of the Kaliya serpent. Just a few minutes from Davanala Kunj, where Krishna swallowed the forest fire to protect the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Within the area that Srila Prabhupada was residing is Dhira Samir, where when Krishna was playing on his flute, the wind actually stopped. It was paralyzed in ecstasy hearing his flute. And there at the Samadhi Mandir of Rupa Goswami, constantly within his sight, the Samadhi of Jiva Goswami, the deities of Radha Damodar, Radha Govinda, Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Raman, Radha Sham Sundar, Radha Giridhari, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Vinod, all within minutes' walks from his residence. Such a life where everything is simply helping me to make Krishna the center. He left Vrindavan to bring Vrindavan to the world by establishing temples. The temple is Vrindavan, if the devotees are in the spirit of Srila Prabhupada's mission. Because when we come here, we see, here is Radha and Krishna. Here is the river Jamuna. Here is the deers and the cows and the swans and the peacocks and the parrots. Here is the flowers, which are the kalpavriksha trees. Here is the abode where the devotees, the associates of Krishna, are performing so much seva for the pleasure of their lordships. The temple room where Hari Katha and Hari Kirtan is always taking place. This association and this atmosphere is the atmosphere of Vrindavan. Krishna never takes a footstep out of Vrindavan. And wherever his devotees are gathered together to serve him, that is Vrindavan. Vrindavan is beyond material, geographical limitations. It is in the heart of the devotees, and it is revealed wherever the spirit of bhakti is being executed. So we should be attached to these things. As Bhakti Vinod Thakur was singing this song, beautiful song, I cannot live any more than a fish out of water without the association of those beautiful places of Braja that remind me of Krishna. We cannot live without the association of devotees. We cannot live without coming to the temple to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. Some traditional people, they think you just stay home and do your puja, that's enough. You should do your puja at home, very good. But do you have the inner spiritual strength and purification to actually transform your home into Braja? We need spiritual surcharging. We have to come together with other Vaishnavas who are very sincere and surrendered. We have to take shelter of the abode of the great gurus and the acharyas to give us spiritual stimulation and strength. We require that, like a fish needs water. And we bring some of that water home continually. And that will make our home Vrindavan. So the association of devotees is the sustenance of a devotee. And how do we associate with devotees? With Krishna in the center. And Lord Gaurasundar has so wonderfully taught us how to keep Krishna always in the center. Very simple. First of all, we must be in the mood of the servant of the servant. If you are in the mood of servant and the servant, that means Krishna is in the center of your life. And in that mood, we hear the glories of the Lord, and we jubilantly chant the holy names. Jubilantly means to give Krishna jubilation. Krishna is happy when he sees us dancing and chanting. He's happy when he sees that we're smiling upon one another to encourage one another to be jubilant, to make him jubilant. See Krishna in each other. See the relationship of Krishna with one another. And if we do like this, we will have the kirtan of the spiritual world. Then we will taste some sublime, transcendental taste of what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has brought to the world. Mahaprabhu came to bring us Prem Kirtan, Kirtan of love. And that love will reveal itself as we follow these simple teachings. So let us joyfully, for the pleasure of their Lordship, Sri Nitai Gaura Chandra, Sri Sri Radha Gopinath, Sri Gopal, let us take shelter of the holy name together. Giridhari Gopal, he is lifting Govardhan Hill to protect us. The torrents of the rains of the storms of this material nature are beyond our capacity. We are drowning. We are being beaten down. Therefore, Krishna is standing before us to reassure and promise us that just be the servant of my servant. Just take a humble position. Know that you are completely dependent on me and dependent on Guru and dependent on Vaishnavas. You have no separate interest. I am Abhigya Swarat. You are Das Das Anudas. In that mood, call out my name and see how I could lift my Govardhan Hill and give you all protection. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.